Greetings of the day to all the listeners. Thank you so much for joining in. Hope everything is great at your end. In today's episode, we are going to discuss about the verses which have been mentioned in chapter 11 of the Bhagavad Gita. This particular episode shall be very interesting for all the listeners. In this episode, we'll come to know that Krishna is not just in that form which we have observed in our temples and other photographs. This chapter reveals to us the real form of Krishna, which is very much different from what we have perceived. In this chapter, Arjun is interested in watching the real form of the Supreme with his own eyes. Till now, Krishna had only told him in detail about his powers and appearances, but now Arjun wants to witness the real side of Krishna. So without further delay, let us resume our journey. Arjun tells that he is grateful to Krishna for his kindness in revealing the most confidential knowledge. Through the words of Krishna, his illusion has been dispelled. It is believed that when we hear the Gita with immense attention and involvement, then we are able to get rid of the ignorance which usually keeps us in the dark. Arjun in detail has heard about the creation and destruction of the universe. He has understood the indestructible nature of Krishna. Arjun had become a victim of attachment, which was the reason that he refused to fight the war of Mahabharata, and he was immensely surrounded with grief. Now there was a desire in his heart to see the real form of Krishna, as I hope would be the case with most of the listeners. So Arjun has now heard about the glories of Krishna from him. He tells that Krishna's knowledge, his real position, power, and all-pervading form is something which he wishes to witness. Arjun wishes to see the manner in which Krishna enters the universe and the actual position of the Supreme. We all should learn the trait of curiosity from Arjun. Until our curiosity is fully satiated, we should not stop asking questions. Krishna is present everywhere because all that exists has originated from him. Every action is a result of him. Arjun tells that if Krishna thinks that Arjun shall be able to see his universal form, then he requests Krishna to display his universal form. So Arjun ensures that once Krishna is confident enough that Arjun has the ability to witness his universal form, only then he should display his real side. Now let us try to imagine what the universal form of Sri Krishna would look like. The Krishna that we know as the charioteer of Arjun, as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, that particular form is not his real form. That was just the human form which was taken by the Supreme so that he could live among the human beings. Now, get excited and ready, for we are about to witness the universal form of the Supreme. Krishna now tells Arjun to see his luxuries, his indefinite, limitless, and varied, divine and colorful forms. Now Krishna is going to reveal his original form to Arjun. Something like this had never happened before. No one had heard or seen the real form of Krishna. God tells Arjun to see in him the Adityas, who are the 12 sons of Aditi, the 8 Vasus, the 11 Rudras, the Ashwini Kumaras, and the 49 demigods of the wind. In addition to this, he tells Arjun to witness many other wonderful sights which no one has heard of or seen before. Krishna is the owner of all that is conscious and unconscious in this world. Land, river, as well as the mountains are a result of him. Krishna tells Arjun to see in his divine form the entire universe. He tells that whatever Arjun desires to see at that moment and whatever he wishes to see about the future, the living as well as the non-living, all of them are situated in his universal form in one place. We should wonder that when we want to look at Krishna's universal form, which contains everything from where we have originated and where we shall be absorbed, is it possible for us to witness that form with our human eyes? It is not. Krishna tells Arjun that undoubtedly Arjun will not be able to see the universal form with his present eyes, that is the normal eyes which have been given to him by nature. Therefore, Krishna provides Arjun with supernatural eyes through which Arjun shall be able to witness his incredible divine powers. Sanjay now tells Dhritarashtra that the most powerful mystic and the destroyer of all sins, The Supreme Krishna, after speaking these words to Arjuna, displayed his universal form to Arjun. All these things were being narrated by Sanjay to King Dhritarashtra. Now I request the listeners to not only hear the details of the universal form of Krishna, but also try to imagine the same. Sanjay tells that in that universal form which was displayed by Krishna, Arjun saw infinite mouths, eyes, and unlimited wonderful sights. The universal form contained a lot of divine ornaments and weapons. In addition to this, divine fragrances were covering the body of Krishna. The form was incredible, limitless, shining, and multi-faced. It is not possible for ordinary humans like us to look at the sun directly, and looking at the form of Krishna was like looking at 1,000 shining suns. The form of Krishna was shining extremely brightly. Sanjay tells Dhritarashtra that once the divine form of Krishna was revealed, it seemed as if thousands of suns were shining together. This is the reason that Arjun wouldn't have been able to witness this universal form with his normal eyes, and this is why Krishna provides him with divine eyes or the divine vision. In the universal form of Krishna, Arjun saw the limitless expansions of the universe, all situated in one place, although they were divided. Different planets were visible to Arjun in that universal form of Krishna. Till now, Arjun had merely heard of the powers and the supernatural form of Krishna. Now, when he was witnessing the form, it was overwhelming and incredible for him. Being immensely surprised and amazed, Arjun bowed his head in front of the Supreme with his hands folded in devotion. He starts praying. Arjun was not aware of the fact that Krishna is the Supreme God. Once he witnessed the universal form, he immediately bowed his head. With folded hands and the mind full of amazement, Arjun tells Lord Krishna that he can see in his universal form the body of all the gods and living things. He can see Brahma sitting on the lotus flower, Lord Shiva, all the sages, as well as the divine serpents. This is the same way in which Krishna had described his real form. Now all that he had spoken becomes clearly visible to Arjun. In that form, Arjun saw infinite arms, bellies, mouths, and eyes. It appeared that the form of Krishna was expanding everywhere in all the directions without any limit. It was difficult to predict his origin or his end. Therefore, Arjun tells that in the real form of Krishna, he can see no beginning, no middle, and no end. Trying to express his amazement through words, Arjun tells that he can see Krishna adorned with crowns, discs. So here disc refers to the Sudarshan Chakra or the powerful wheel of Krishna, and also club weapons. He tells that Krishna's universal form is difficult to see because of its intense brilliance which spreads on all sides just like the immeasurable brightness of the sun covers the entire world. Krishna had told Arjun initially that he is indestructible. After witnessing the universal form, Arjun understood a lot about Krishna as well as his eternal nature. Arjun tells that in his opinion, Krishna is not just the indestructible, but also the oldest and the resting place of the world. Now Arjun understood that Krishna was eternal because his hands, face, and powers were extending in all directions without any limit. It was not possible to locate the end of Krishna. Arjun further tries to describe the form of the Supreme. He tells that he cannot see any origin or end of Krishna as he was present everywhere. He tells that Krishna's glory and capabilities are limitless with infinite arms and the sun and moon as his eyes. He further tells that the brilliance of Krishna was like blazing fire that was providing its own radiance in the entire universe. Usually when we observe the world, we see the earth, the sky, and we are aware of the space between them, that is air. Arjun tells that Krishna was present throughout the sky, the different planets, and in the entire space between them. Not only was that form of Krishna incredibly wonderful, but also frightening. Arjun tells that Krishna's universal form is so frightening that all the planets are becoming anxious on witnessing that form. He tells that the groups of demigods are surrendering before Krishna and they are getting absorbed in him. Some are so afraid that with folded hands they are praying to the Supreme. A great number of sages and perfect beings are giving out cries for the welfare of humanity, and they are praying to the Supreme by singing the hymns of the Vedas. In the real form of Krishna, Arjun could see the 11 Rudras, the 12 Adityas, that is the sons of Aditi, the 8 Vasus. In addition to this, Arjun saw in Krishna the Vishwadevas, Ashwini Kumaras, the Hindu storm gods, groups of forefathers, Gandharvas, Yakshas, devils, as well as the perfect demigods. Such a vision undoubtedly leaves all the humans as well as demigods in wonder. Please don't be overwhelmed by the words that I have just used. Think of all of them as mystical powers, think of them as rulers of the universe, and everything which can possibly exist in the universe was present in that divine form of Krishna. Arjun tells Krishna that seeing him with his bright colors spreading throughout the earth and the sky, his wide open mouths and his immensely illuminating eyes, Arjun tells that his mind was getting disturbed by fear. It is usually believed that a glimpse of the divine provides a lot of peace, but in this scenario it was not the case because Krishna had not revealed his human form, he had revealed his divine and the supreme form. Arjun could no longer maintain a steady state of mind. The huge and terrifying form of Krishna was making Arjun lose his mental balance. He requests Krishna to be kind to him. Arjun was surprised in all directions because the death-like faces of Krishna and his frightening teeth were extending everywhere. Till this moment, Arjun could see the Rudras, Vasus and gods in the universal form of Krishna, but then he sees something even more incredible. Arjun saw that all the sons of Dhritarashtra, that is the Kauravas, and all the kings and soldiers who were fighting for them, that is who were on their side, were entering the frightening mouth of Krishna. In addition to this, Arjun saw that Bhishma Pitama, Guru Dronacharya, Karna, and even soldiers on his side were going into the fearful mouth of Krishna. Among these people, Arjun could see some of them trapped with their heads smashed between Krishna's teeth. The sight was such that even thinking about it will clearly make one's hair stand on one end. As for Arjun, he was witnessing all of this through the divine eyes given by Krishna. Just like many different rivers enter the great ocean, in the same way, the great warriors in the battle of Mahabharata were entering the mouth of Krishna. As Krishna had already told that everything will finally get absorbed in him. This truth is now present as an evidence in front of Arjun and all the listeners of the Gita. Seeing the light, the insect comes near it quickly. This has been happening probably since the beginning of time. Arjun could see that just like the moth comes towards the light, in the same way all the people fighting in the war of Mahabharata were rushing into the fearful mouth of Krishna. The sight in front of Arjun was not so easy to describe. He tells that he could see Krishna devouring the people from all sides with his burning mouth. Besides, he saw Krishna covering everything with his brilliance and his burning rays. As a result of being terrified and troubled, Arjun finally asks Krishna to reveal about himself. He finally wants to know that who was Krishna. He refers to Krishna as the Lord of the Lords and offers him respects. Arjun understood that Krishna is the original God and he wanted to know more about him to understand his mission. Now the answer given by Krishna is one that I believe is intense. Answering the question of Arjun, Krishna tells that he is time. He tells that he is time which destroys the worlds and he has come there to destroy all the people. Explaining this, Krishna tells that all the soldiers who were fighting on the side of enemy will not remain alive even if Arjun or the Pandavas refused to fight the battle, meaning to say that their destiny will lead them to death irrespective of the battle. This was exactly the starting point of the knowledge of Gita when God told Arjun that he should not mourn for anyone alive or dead. Now Krishna tells Arjun to get up, to be prepared and to fight and win honor. He tells Arjun to engage in the war, fight the enemies, conquer them with valor and then enjoy a kingdom of prosperity. Krishna tells that the enemies are already certain to die because of his power, and Arjun was nothing more than an instrument in the battle. Krishna has already ensured the death of the wrongdoers. All Arjun had to do was just serve as an instrument by engaging in this battle. In the same way, we all should also serve as an instrument and perform our duty by engaging in action with faith in the Supreme. After realizing that Arjun had to kill his own relatives in the war, he was filled with grief and had refused to fight the war. Now Krishna tells him that Guru Dronacharya, Bhishma Pitama, Jayadratha, Karna and the other warriors in the battle had already been killed by him. Krishna tells that through his mystical powers, he has already ensured that the wrongdoers and the people on the side of the enemy are going to die. Therefore, he tells Arjun to engage in the fight without being afraid. Once he fights, he will surely be victorious over the enemies. Sanjay informs Dhritarashtra that after hearing those words from the Supreme Krishna, Arjun repeatedly offered his prayers with folded hands and a trembling body. Fearfully and hesitantly, he speaks to Lord Krishna. Arjun was terrified from the mystical form of Krishna, which was the reason behind his trembling body. The sight that Arjun was experiencing is unimaginable and impossible for ordinary beings like us to behold. Arjun addresses Krishna as the master of the senses, meaning the one who has gained perfect control over the senses. He tells that as a result of the name and the glories of Krishna, there is joy in the world. The righteous people offer their respectful tribute to Krishna, while the demons are full of fear and they run in all directions on seeing him. Arjun has become overwhelmed with the divine form and thus he speaks the following words. Arjun addresses Krishna as the supreme creator who is even greater than Brahma. He tells that Krishna is the god of gods and the imperishable, and so all the beings should be respectful towards him. Till this moment, Arjun had only heard the words from the Supreme, but at that very moment, when he practically experienced the divine, universal form of Krishna, he was able to understand the true knowledge. Krishna is the oldest and the original God. Arjun tells that Krishna is the shelter of the material world. He tells that Krishna is the knower of all, and the one who knows him truly needs to know nothing more. Trying his best to further describe the universal form, Arjun tells that Krishna is the air, the fire, the water, the moon, the lord of people, that is Brahma, and he is also the father of Brahma. Therefore, Arjun tells that he offers his prayers 1,000 times more to Krishna. Out of his immense faith, Arjun offers his prayers to Krishna from all sides. He addresses Krishna as the one with infinite power and endless strength. Arjun finally tells that Krishna is everything because he fills the entire universe. Now Arjun remembers all those moments when he used to joke with Krishna and address him without thinking of the consequences because he thought that Krishna was merely a human being and he thought of Krishna as a friend. At that time, Arjun was unaware of the divine glories of Krishna. So Arjun tells that he addressed the Supreme Person as Yadav, as Krishna, and as his friend. And he tells that he did all of this unknowingly. Arjun then tells that while joking with Krishna, when they lay on the same bed, while sitting or eating together or in front of friends, if Arjun has ever dishonored Krishna, he requests the Supreme God to forgive him for all those wrongdoings. Arjun has now understood that the one whom he regarded as his friend is actually the Supreme Lord of the universe. Arjun tells that there is no one who is equal to Krishna, so there is no question of anyone being greater than him. He addresses Krishna as the God of limitless power. Krishna is the greatest spiritual master and the owner of all that is moving and all that is still. Arjun tells that every being should worship Krishna. He falls down before Krishna and seeks his mercy. He requests Krishna to tolerate his wrong acts in the same way that a father tolerates the bad manners of the son, as a friend tolerates the rudeness of a friend, or as a wife tolerates the informality of her partner. Just like Arjun, if at any point in life we do realize our mistakes and the wrong acts that we may have committed unknowingly or knowingly, then we should not be reluctant to apologize for the same. Arjun was full of fear, but at the same time he was highly impressed. He was experiencing mixed emotions at the same time. Arjun tells Krishna that seeing his all-pervading form, he is delighted, but at the same time he is disturbed. He then makes a request to Krishna. The sight of the divine is the most pleasant sight which any individual can obtain. Arjun requests Krishna to display his four-armed form with a crown on the head, with the club, the wheel, that is the Sudarshan Chakra, the conch shell, and the lotus flower. Arjun was very dear to Krishna. Out of this love, Krishna tells that very happily, through his powers, he has revealed the supreme and the endless universal form to Arjun, which no one in the material world has ever witnessed before. Krishna tells that before Arjun, no one has ever experienced the all-pervading original form, which is full of dazzling brilliance. All thanks to the Gita, we were at least able to hear about this magnificent form. Krishna then tells that his universal form in the material world can be revealed neither by studying the Vedas, nor through charity, nor through sacrifices, pious activities, or penance. Krishna then tells that as a result of seeing his huge mystical form, Arjun has become amazed and disturbed. He suggests Arjun to get rid of those emotions. Krishna tells Arjun to be free from all fear, and with a pleased mind, he shall now see the form which he desires. Now Krishna, on the request of Arjuna, reveals his four-armed form. Describing the scene of Kurukshetra, Sanjay tells Dhritarashtra that Krishna displayed his four-armed form to Arjun, and then, in order to provide patience and encourage him, Krishna finally displayed his two-armed form to Arjuna. The reason behind displaying the universal form was only to provide the truth to Arjun and to fulfill his wish so that he could get rid of the ignorance. After having done the same, the Lord reveals his human form once again. Arjun was finally able to return from his fearful state of mind when Krishna returned to the human form. He tells that after seeing the human-like beautiful form of Krishna, he is now peaceful and his mind is calm. Krishna tells Arjun that the form which he was seeing at that moment, that is the human-like form, is very difficult to witness. He tells that even the demigods are always looking for an opportunity to witness that form which is so dear. Neither through the Vedas, nor through penance, charity or sacrifices it is possible to see the dear form of Krishna. This clearly indicates that merely outward displays of devotion are not enough to observe the true form of Krishna. Krishna now tells about a way to experience his human-like dear form. He tells that through pure devotional service, a person can experience him in his real form, and he can also understand his true nature. In the final verse of this chapter, Krishna tells Arjun the way through which a person experiences him. He tells that the person who has pure faith, who engages in action following the instructions of Krishna, who understands that Krishna is the supreme truth and the person is merely an instrument of the supreme, and one who is friendly to all, in the sense that the person doesn't wish bad for others, such a person is sure to obtain peace and experience him. If we have true faith and we are engaging in action to perform our duty without any attachment, then we will surely experience Krishna. So with this we have come to the end of the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna reveals his real form by displaying his mystical powers. Hope the episode was interesting. Thank you so much for joining in, and do let me know your views on the episodes by connecting with me through the links given in the description box. Stay tuned for the next episode, take care, and have a great day ahead. Thank you.